Welcome to now episode 32 of the Money Talks, and we've got a very interesting entrepreneur today. He is coming up. He's somebody who will definitely fill up your soul, and he'll also fill up your belly. He's somebody who's been in the food space, I think, for over 2 decades now, and has not only worked in different parts, but has also seen the ups and downs of what COVID can do to your business, and how do you come back from something like that. So, without further ado, I'm going to call serial entrepreneur and also a upcoming angel investor, Pawan, to the show. Hi, Pawan. How are you?
I'm good, and it's so nice to be here. And the intro was actually fabulous. Loved it. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Pawan, I think we had met about 2 years ago. I think we met through Anand. I remember,
Yes.
and it was a meeting at one of my favorite hotels in Delhi, Aloft, right? And we shared a
Yeah.
couple of beers. Very interesting story. I think you were just sort of getting started with Hoi Foods at the time. But I remember like the experience you had, and simply because you know the you got to see hotels from a very different angle than what everybody else got to see, or not just hotel, but maybe the Horeca segment as a whole, from a very different angle than what others got to see. And I think that was definitely very interesting. So without further ado, would like to get started with our conversation. Uh, you know, you obviously out and out Delhi boy. Started out at St. Xavier's in Delhi, and then ISB after that, and got into the family business. What was it like to be and I believe the family obviously has a pretty sizable business, but you branched out. So what was it like to be part of that whole ecosystem starting out?
Yeah. Yeah. So after school, actually, I went to IIT and then went to IIM Lucknow, not to ISB.
Acha,
Uh,
we have it in
so the typical BTech MBA kind of a route I took. Yeah. So after actually, while while I was finishing my BTech in the fourth year itself, I had started taking interest in the family business, which is basically about setting up commercial kitchens. So at that time, the liberalization had just started, and new technology was just about coming into the country. And when I joined the business in '95 after my MBA, the story is that uh, the day I finished the final exam, the next day I was a welder in the factory. I spent about 6 months welding in the factory, and this picture, actually, what you see is after that. Once I graduated as a good welder, I was made part of the management team in the company, and there was a ceremony for that. And this picture comes from that. This is my father with me, and so basically, my role was at that time to work a lot with QSRs, basically quick service restaurants, and they were just about to come in the country. Started off with Pizza Hut, and then McDonald's, KFC, Domino's, all these, then Pizza Corner, and many other brands then came in later on. uh, I spent a lot of time working with these chains, putting together all the technology that they needed. At this is mid '90s when cold chain actually did not exist in India.
Hmm.
So I spent a lot of time learning from them, from the international counterparts of these companies, and then implementing all of those things in India. So starting with the supply chain, the warehousing, the logistics, and the cold storages, and also the final regeneration and how the technology was used to put things together. I was the I don't know if you've seen these big conveyor ovens which are used for making pizzas and Domino's and Pizza Huts. Till about year 2000, I was the only trained engineer in India who could install those ovens. So I installed more than 100 such ovens personally.
Wow.
Uh, so it was a great experience, learning so many different things, mostly about engineering, mostly about the cooking technology. Yeah.
But
So
most of the
that
time,
was
Pawan, the very interesting point you brought on about your father asking you to work as a welder after you finish your MBA for 6 months. Many people in the audience actually are first-time founders, and may not really understand the impact of actually starting right at the bottom and getting to the and then growing from there. Maybe you could just explain why was that important for you to start off as a welder, even though you were the owner's son.
I think so for every business, for everything that you do, you have to start at the grassroots. So uh, because we've heard these cliches that the devil is in the details, etc. So
Hmm.
unless you get into the whole picture, unless you know exactly what's going on at the ground level, what are you going to lay foundation on? So where are you going to grow from? Because you know if the product that I'm making, I do not understand how it is made and how I can make it look better, make it feel better, perform better, I cannot actually service my customer. So first I
True.
have to understand the product, the processes, and not only that, the people at the shop floor are the people who have to understand the philosophy of the company. So first I have to understand how to communicate with them as well. So I think
Hmm.
all those things are very, very important. I learned a lot. All those people I worked with at that time, the shop floor workers, the supervisors. I could talk to them as if they were my friends. Even like 15, 20 years after I started working. I think all those things matter a lot when you're building a business.
And do you bring some of that back to your businesses today? Because you obviously got more than one business that you're managing. Is it does that do you bring some of that when you're looking at choosing management people for your different ventures today?
Yeah, see, obviously I'm focusing on one business at a time. But
Mm.
when you're hiring a team, then you're obviously hiring people with some kind of specialization.
Mm.
Some things which you don't want to do yourself, you cannot do yourself, uh, and things like those. Um, so there are different kinds of roles that you're looking for. But every business that I have started, uh, during this whole last 25 years, I have basically started all of them in the same way.
Mm.
Have spent a lot of time understanding the grassroots of the industry, how people are at the at the shop floor level, or at the market level. Let's say when I started superfood business, which was actually started off as an investment, I used to spend a lot of time in the market. I actually spent almost 1 year going to supermarkets uh, and placing the product myself, doing the merchandising, talking to customers. Uh, and what gave me the biggest thrill was when there was a family which came and they picked up the product from the shelf and put it in their cart without me pushing them to do that.
Oh wow.
Thrill that I got was so nice that I, I I decided this is something which I should be doing.
So after becoming a welder, after obviously going through the rite of initiation, but a year later you were doing something with Active Karma Ventures, right? In fact,
Yeah,
there's somebody in the audience that probably knows a little bit about this. I think Anish asking, what was Karma Ventures?
yeah, it's actually Active Karma.
Mhm.
This was a business which I started off with a very close friend of mine, Nitin Seth, and Dinesh Khanna also joined us. So we three of us we built this company. The whole idea was to bring fitness at the core of lifestyle.
Hmm.
So that's why active, and that's why karma.
Karma.
So
Hmm.
we, I mean, of course, you would have heard of Cure Fit, right? So Cure
Right.
Fit, we were the same version, or let's say Cure Fit is the version of active karma
Active
today.
Karma. Well, fair enough.
Yeah, so my co-founder, my close friend Nitin Seth, who started off with me, he also worked for a short while with Flipkart. I don't know how much of that knowledge sharing happened during those times. Uh, but yeah, active karma was a passion for all of us. Being from the sports and fitness background, we wanted people to get fitter, take fitness as a serious thing. Unfortunately, that was a dot-com boom time. Bust came pretty quickly. Instead of setting up, let's say, proper physical shops or gyms or places where people could experience what we were saying, we actually went online. Online penetration was internet penetration was so low at that time. There was no smartphones, so we just went too early into the whole thing. Yeah. But it was a fantastic time. Those 2 years we spent together building a fabulous business. So we built a software which was called My Diet Mate, to help people control their nutrition. And these days, you can see so many of these softwares around.
Yeah, like you can see like the My Fitness Pals of the world and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a phenomenal time. I really loved the time when I used to go to various sports coaches and fitness experts and gym owners and making them our affiliates. I met Kapil Dev, Madan Lal.
oh
So
really? Wow.
I had a really good time meeting all those people. Yeah.
So what was I think I know you said you were too early to market, right? But was there anything else that probably you could have you think it could have if it had happened things could have been different?
I think the biggest learning from the active karma time was to bring in focus in your business.
Hmm.
Uh, I think at that point of time, we went away with the flow. We got valuation of a huge number without even having our website up,
Oh
uh,
wow.
and that and that made us go a little mad. We went around and started doing too many things which we should not have been doing. We should have just made one thing and stuck to that and made that really awesome.
Yep.
So focus with patience is what I think it was more us than the environment. Of course, we were too early because the internet was not really big at that time, but we knew that. So the learning was in the hindsight. We are smarter now that we should focus and have patience on your on business model and build that before you go berserk and raise funding and etc. etc.
In fact, it goes back to the earlier lesson, right? The devil is in the details, right? Once you get
Yeah,
really good at one thing, it becomes
yeah,
very easy to expand that to so many different things. And it's so amazing you bring that point up because there are so many entrepreneurs today you tell the same thing too, and it just seems that it's been 20, 25, 30 years of entrepreneurship in India, and entrepreneurs continue to make the same mistake. Is that you shouldn't be doing too many things. Focus your
yeah,
efforts. Despite having all the money in the world, you can't increase the number of hours in a day, and therefore if you try to focus on too many different things, you're eventually going to run out of time more than
yeah.
money. So
No,
and
absolutely.
like what was and again you obviously came to the market at a time when people didn't even understand what venture was. Forget about venture capital and all that stuff. So obviously this is a very early venture. But my question was, and at that time maybe India wasn't as forgiving towards failures, right? I think it was a very different market. So what was the trigger for you to say, you know what, I don't think this is working out. It's time to move on.
Um, it I don't I can't remember a trigger moment. I think it was just a slow drawn process. Uh, we started off as a fitness company, but in order to start making money and start earning some revenue, we became a software company.
That's
We
right.
started using the technology that we have built for our softwares and everything else. We started selling that. Uh, a few months later, going through all these things, and we just realized, this is not what we wanted to make. where are we going? It doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense.
correct.
So uh, instead of spending more time on money and all of those things, we decided that we should stop all this and move ahead. We had around I think 30 people with us at that time, 30 or 40 people. We took about a couple of months to get most of them placed
Oh,
before
nice.
we closed the company. Yeah.
And from there you jumped into Continental Equipment, India,
Yeah, I came
right?
back. I came back into the family business. There was a lot of work happening in the industry. Many new QSRs and restaurant chains were coming. The hotel industry was getting a little bit bigger and mature, and I thought that this is the time when I should build this as a big business. And I realized that if I don't do it myself, it's not going to happen. So I came back into the business, and I started working once again with the QSRs. Uh, so during that time when I set my targets, this was 2002 or 3. I set my goals till 2010, how I'm going to build the business. And uh, so we just set up new factories. We improved the quality. We went into exports. We got a lot of international approvals. In fact, we became the only company in Asia, to an Asian company actually, to get an international approval from McDonald's.
Oh, wow.
Uh, McDonald's
That's
has just
amazing.
3 suppliers all over the world, and we were one of them. So which was a huge thing. So
What did
yeah,
it take to get that kind of approval? I mean, getting McDonald's is a huge thing. What was it?
apart from all the hard work, yeah. So
I mean, obviously
they
hard work and planning. I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, what was it? Having the vision
yeah
to obviously get there.
they have a lot of so there are technical as well as social checks that they have.
Hmm.
We went through about 2 years of various inspections, third-party inspections, as well as inspections by the McDonald's international team. They came over here 4 or 5 times in those 2 years, and they would interview workers. They will interview suppliers. So things like uh, fire safety and what do you do in accidents and stuff like that. So apart from checking all the qualities and processes, etc. So it's a pretty long drawn process.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean, the next question is going to be a little bit off topic, but since you come from a family of entrepreneurs, and obviously there's a family office here, uh, you came to the family business, you go away for 2 years, you come back to the family business, and obviously you've grown it from there to what it is today. You get McDonald's and all these guys on board. How how important was it for you to move out of the business for a couple of years before you came back? Did that lead to any kind of ability for you to think more clearly and be able to bring in changes because you've had that experience outside?
Yeah, I think the active karma experience taught me a lot, right? So I was I was very clear that I'm going back because not because it earns me money. I could earn money in various other ways as well, but just because I could create value.
Hmm.
So the and I understood that there is value in creating value, but also there is much more excitement in creating value. So
Hmm.
and also I think I was a little bit more confident now that I could be my own boss. I could take a lot of decisions. I knew how to judge things much better, how to build a team, etc., etc. So when I went back to the business, I actually started rebuilding my team separately to
Hmm.
cater to all these restaurant chains, and so it was more like a an entrepreneurial venture within my own business.
Oh, got it. Got it. Interesting. Because I mean, I've always felt that. I mean, we have a family business too, and the fact that I spent 8 years as an entrepreneur or even operator entrepreneur outside India before coming back here, I think I was able to actually see where we lacked. right? Because when you come directly in there, it just seems you're just in there, right? And you come from bookish knowledge, and no one's really going to treat you for what the book teaches you, right? Because what life will teach you or practicals will teach you is very, very different. But once you
Yeah.
come from an outside experience, you run a business, there's a different level of respect. I think you get obviously from the older generation, but also from your peers that you're going to work with. But then you were there for 19 years at Continental, and I know Continental has done extremely well in the last 2 decades. But I think the entrepreneurial bug bit you again, and you decided to begin with Superstar Foods. Maybe you could just tell the audience a little bit about what Superstar Food does. In fact, somebody was mentioning it in the comments as well.
Yeah. So in 2013, I actually got bored because I thought I wasn't creating any more value. So I wanted to get out of the business and start doing different things. And I actually started investing in startups to understand what's happening in the rest of the world, because I was pretty much in my well for, let's say, 12, 13 years. I had to get out of that, and I had to get out of my comfort zone. So I met a lot of entrepreneurs. I saw a lot of new things happening, and from the perspective of not just investing but also seeing what I could do myself. uh, at that point of time, a friend of mine who was his name is Supratik. He was into the sweet corn business, and he had built this technology of making sweet corn in a packaged form. It's in a ready to eat as well as packaged form, and which has a shelf life of 9 months without even adding salt to it. So it was a very nice product. So in a way, naturally healthy, uh, and something which is very versatile. I discussed this with my wife, and she, being a marketeer, to understand, and she thought that, yeah, this is something which can be a new category that you could build. So I decided to invest in that first, and then few months later, I actually joined the business, thinking that this is something actually I can do and I can contribute to. So this was my first foray into food business. As I told you, that first year or so, basically, we spent most of our time understanding how the distribution works, how the retail works, basically the grassroots, and carrying the stuff ourselves, talking to the retailers, doing merchandising, etc. And it's only after about first 14, 15 months of doing this, we started to branch into different geographies of the country, making new distributors, etc., etc., and then started also rolling out new products. Uh, so while I was doing that, some other friends joined the business, and they became my co-founders as well. And
Interesting.
we launched a second brand called Misht, which is a packaged mithai.
Okay.
So this was a dream child of my co-founders Sandeep Kohli and Shoaib Kohli, father and son. Shoaib is who is running the business right now, along completely. And Misht is basically packaged mithai. We started off by packaging each piece of mithai individually to give it a high shelf life. So very good for traveling, very good for taking it to various countries. This is a picture at WS Smith, which yeah, it's a nice picture. So it's a
Nice
very
one.
attractive, colorful packaging, great to gift, not messy at all. So you can carry it in different places. Uh, so once again, the same distribution, uh, but more online, I would say, is what Misht is doing. Yeah.
And then from there, so that was your role. I mean, you were obviously on the ground and doing the sales, but from there, I think you were doing more of a consumer business. Earlier, you were doing a lot more institutional business. What
Yeah.
was that significant mindset change that you needed to have? Because institution business can traditionally be little longer tail, right? It takes lot more time to get things moving, and then consumer is like very quick, right? But one obviously generates a lot more revenue and a lot more, I would say, profits, and the other one can take some time. So in terms of mindset, how did you make that switch from moving from an institutional kind of a institutional business like a Continental to something being more consumer focused?
I must say it was very tough. Um, I had read about consumer behavior and marketing in my MBA, and I can assure you none of those things I was able to use really. Uh, but of course, there were some lectures which was still in my mind, which were, I think, useful in a way. I hope my colleagues from my friends from IIM are not listening in. I'll be I'll be asked about all those lectures. Uh, but it was a very tough switch. I can assure you, and that's the reason I said that I took more than a year to actually understand the whole thing. Uh, the great thing about institutional business is that you know your customer. You actually
Hmm.
know your customer's family, right? So in consumer business, at least at that point of time, you knew nothing about your customer, right? I mean, uh, that's why sitting in the retail shops, doing the promotions yourself and talking to the customers was the key to the whole thing. Um, so this is something which I actually learned. So I told you that my wife has always been a marketeer, and she used to spend a lot of time in the marketing in her initial days, and I think she still does. But so that is something which I realized that if you want to do a consumer business, you've got to be aware of what your consumer is looking for. So
True.
visit the shops, spend the time as much as you have in the shops. That's where the business is actually happening. Um, so that's so. I guess it took me just time. The switch was a slow switch. It was a gradual one for me, but I guess there was no other way.
But it's a very important point to bring up, like sitting there and listening to the customers, right? You obviously are there selling things face to face. Uh, it- how do you ensure, and again, I'm talking this more in terms of very strongly from the food tech space, right? You can't obviously agree with everything the customer wants, right? Because like Henry Ford once said, right? If you ask customers for what they wanted, they would have asked for a faster horse, right? And so obviously you have to at some point decide between the noise that the customer is giving you and where the company needs to head. And I think because you've been through that situation with even Active Karma and trying to deliver what the customer wants may not always deliver what the company needs. How do you balance both of that as an entrepreneur?
So I think it's a very clear distinction between need and want here. What the
Hmm.
customer want is very different from what the customer needs, right? So, or actually can be. So the whole thing is that you got to figure out what is the customer needing, right? Where's the
Needs.
gap,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
Are they looking for convenience, or are they looking for something which is healthy, or perceived healthy, something which they want to show off or gift. So it's more of a need gap which is there, is what is important to understand. uh, if you just keep on trying to satisfy each customer, then I don't think your business will go anywhere.
It's a
uh,
very key point. You can't
yeah,
satisfy every
no, you
customer. You
cannot.
can't. You won't.
You
Yeah.
just cannot. There is a lot of noise out there, and you have to be very careful of what to listen to. So
Hmm.
otherwise, there are. What I've seen is that a lot of customers who actually have a good point, don't really
Hmm.
say much, and people who are actually sometimes, let's say, trying to take an advantage of a situation, they are the one
Hmm.
who are the loudest. So you got to discriminate, some kind of distinction between the two of these, and say what is it that you're going to listen to.
I mean, I think the clarity right there. I mean, what the customer needs may not be always what they want, and the customer may be talking about what they want, but you have to figure out what do they really need.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I've heard that for the first time, honestly. But it's a very key point for any entrepreneur listening in that trying to win a popularity contest is not going to get you anywhere, right? And I
Not
think
at all.
I feel a lot of founders, and since you're an angel, you must be seeing this, is that lot of time founders are too focused on trying to win the entire market, but not realizing that the money that they're going to make is probably going to come from the cream of the or the top 10% of that market, right? If we just cater to them, the others will as it is follow, but the profits will always get driven by the top 10% and not by the masses. I mean, look at Apple,
Absolutely.
right? It controls less than, I think,
Great
volume
example.
wise, less than 5% of the world's market, but it's $1 trillion company, and Samsung is still playing catch up, right?
Yeah.
So no, and so then 2015 Superstars Food happens. Now I think we can get into Hoi Foods, right? And I think many questions have come already about Hoi. So you had Superstar Foods. You're obviously very deeply involved there, and then you sort of Hoi Foods' original model, right, was a little bit more B2B. It was a B2B2C kind of a model. I remember when you pitched it to me, but why move back, or why were you moving forward? I don't know which way you would take it. I mean,
No, so Hoi was also the intention was never to build a B2B business, right? So that
okay.
was just the first step towards it. It was always going to be a consumer business. I had no intention of going back to institutional business at all. Um, but Hoi actually brought in everything inside me into the business, right? So
Hmm.
uh, it's almost like connecting the dots for me, right? So uh, building Continental, when I started off, I was working with QSRs. I was building the cold chain. I was building the regeneration processes. I was building the technology which could carry pre-cooked frozen food, which could be regenerated in kitchens or outlets. Uh, I could use the whole knowledge in Hoi, right? So uh, all the relationships that I built, the network that I built during all that time was something which I could use in Hoi. So it was a great thrill that something which you have actually learned and delivered on before, you could use it to build a new business uh, and create completely a new solution in the market which does not exist. It was a big thrill for me. So when my co-founder Indrajit Roy, he came in. Actually, he came in more for investment. When he came up with this idea, then he also wanted me to join the business full time uh, because I was absolutely clear on how we're going to build this whole thing up, and it was very exciting time. I of course, since I was deeply involved in Super, I took some time to join Hoi. But since I've joined, I think almost every day, we have great laughter building the whole thing. And as again, what I told you was that I continue to use all my inspiration, all the knowledge which I earned from working with all these QSR during my Continental days, and that continues to excite me.
I think it'd be also important, Pawan, to probably understand what was Hoi Foods. Like, what was the original idea? We'll obviously get into the pivots and all, but what was the original idea that you were trying to build Hoi Foods on?
So Hoi was actually started off by solving the problem of guests staying in budget hotels and giving them a great food experience. For that, we had to build the back end first because these budget hotels don't have good kitchens where cooks can be there or chefs can be there. They can't afford them also. These are 15, 20 room hotels. So what was important was that the food had to be built in central facilities and sent to these outlets where it could be regenerated. A technical name for reheated. Of course, with that you put some ingredients, some toppings, and stuff like that on top of it before you serve to the customer. So the customer staying in the hotel would order from Hoi, having a menu of Hoi at the hotel reception, and then our trained team would basically make the food and serve in the room. The great POC was that the ratings reviews of these hotels started going up. Oyo came up to us and they said that they wanted us to take over 30 or 40 of their hotels in NCR, which we did. uh, so basically everything was working, right? So the people had issues that frozen will not work, people will not like
Hmm.
the taste. but actually people started liking it, and this is how it started. But then we also knew that the same kitchens could also be used for food delivery. So then we launched our consumer brand, Hoi Foods, as a consumer brand in the cloud kitchen format. And of course, that was Swiggy, Zomato, and then Uber Eats as well. And we were selling through all of those things. So in
In a way, it
February,
was also the original cloud kitchen, right? Because every hotel now was a cloud kitchen for you.
yes. So uh, in uh, in February 2020, just before the month of COVID, March, we were running about 120 kitchens
Wow.
uh, in NCR and Bangalore, out of which about 55 were also operating as cloud kitchens. Everything
At the peak, how many
is.
orders a day were you doing?
Uh, we were doing about 8 to 10,000.
Wow, 10,000 orders a day.
Yeah.
And like, because these are in budget hotels, I'm assuming the price point was more towards the budget, the middle of the market kind of stuff.
Price points in the hotels was higher than the cloud kitchen prices. The guests staying in the hotels do not mind spending 250 or 300 rupees or even 400 rupees for their meal if the meal is nice and hot. While a cloud kitchen, at least the kind of customers we were serving from the cloud kitchen perspective, the AOV was 160 to 175 rupees.
Wow. And
Obviously, you have to run offers. You know how that works.
yeah, no,
So
definitely. But it's a I mean, 10,000 orders a day. That's and I mean, even if you're talking about an average price of 200, if I'm just taking both and taking an average price point there, that's some solid revenue, right? And I think you
yeah.
raised around that time as well.
Yes, we did. We had just about raised around the when the COVID lockdown started happening. Uh, remember there was a Yes Bank fiasco and the bank was closed and everything. Our money was in the bank at that
Oh,
time.
are you serious? Oh my God, yes, Bank of all banks.
Some
Oh
9 or 10 crores had just come in and in the bank.
oh Lord,
So yeah, I mean it was.
what was that moment like? Like, I think you withdraw like 50,000 a day or something like that, right? At that time.
I don't know. I think it was a very strange number, but 50,000 a day. I don't think 50,000 a day. I think it was 50,000 a month or something like that. It
Oh
was a
wow,
it was a crazy number. So we were we had a good fun. Actually, really really good fun.
that's amazing. But most of your investors were like any were family offices and individuals at the time.
Yeah. So we actually raised money from one institution, which is One Crowd. One
Okay,
Crowd is a fund as well as a
from
platform.
Bangalore.
So Bangalore and Bombay.
Okay,
So we work with the Bombay chapter, the Bombay team. Uh, so we raised from their platform as well as from their fund. Rest of them was HNI's AngelList also participated. We had Sequoia, Scout come into the cap table as well as Sprout, that is Sprout.
and today, I mean, Hoi Pure is doing fantastically well. I was, looked through the website. I've heard great things about it. And obviously, there's many more things coming ahead. But as the economy reopens, does Hoi Foods now make a comeback? Do you what do you or do you go down this path of Hoi Pure and say, you know what, this is what we're going to do, and this is a niche that I figured out?
This is a such an exciting place. Uh, you know, I mean, we all of us have heard about D2C, and D2C is becoming the new buzzword. And I believe that this is the decade of D2C in India. There will be a lot of new brands which will come in. Traditionally, when you go to the CPG or any other FMCG brand, companies had to build distribution muscle. Companies had to
Yep.
go out there, talk to retailers, build distribution. It took decades for companies to become big in order to command respect from the distribution ecosystem. But internet e-commerce has given this capability for brands to build everything online. And not only that, the customer is actually demanding different treatment, different products, different services, different ways of handling their needs. So the whole essence of creating your own website and online presence becomes even more relevant.
Yep.
So Hoi Pure is D2C, and we think that we have solved this for food, which probably only one or two other brands, let's say Licious, has done.
Hmm.
Uh, this is a fantastic space, uh, and I think we are actually creating a huge value for ourselves and for the ecosystem in what we are doing. So this is going to be our focus. We're going to be launching a lot of products. This also gives me a huge opportunity to try out different products. I am the chief trier in the company. On a daily
Chief eating
basis, I
officer.
try different products. I have to really work much more on my fitness now, but it's really exciting. Yeah, so I'm enjoying this.
So Pawan, if somebody like where all does Hoi Pure currently deliver? And because it is cold chain, right? At the end of the day, some.
So as far as the backend is concerned, we already are present in NCR and Bangalore and even in Chandigarh. We had started going into Hyderabad. So we have figured out how to build this infrastructure. And as I told you that from my previous experience, I know a lot of these people who can provide us infrastructure. We don't invest in infrastructure. It is already
Not
available.
required.
Cold
Yeah.
chain is already there. So that's not a problem. The only thing that you have to do is work on the product and acquire customers. So acquiring customers requires time and money. So we are currently totally focused on NCR. Uh, and after we are able to get enough funding, we will be going into other cities. Bangalore, we've already started a pilot. And we believe that in the next 3 to 4 years, we can be in 15 cities, running maybe 300 different dark outlets and serving maybe 3 lakh to 4 lakh customers.
And the model remains that people come to hoipure.com, they order what they want, and then it's delivered cold to their doorstep, and then they can
Frozen.
heat it and eat. Frozen. Sorry, and
Yeah.
and then obviously the heat. It's I believe it's half cooked, and you finish cooking it, and then you can serve it right away. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. It'd be great for some of the people to try it out, especially you're saying obviously in the Chandigarh, Delhi, and you said Hyderabad,
And
region,
Bangalore,
and Bangalore at this point.
not in
Great.
Hyderabad.
Acha. Hyderabad not yet. Okay. So guys, those are the three areas. Go to hoipure.com. Is that it? And
Yeah.
if people do want to pitch to you, I guess in both ways, in case they would like for you to be an investor, or the other way to also explore possibilities of working alongside Hoi Pure. What's the best way to reach out to you?
Well, I am actually omnipresent on all social media. I get more phone calls than emails from people. I don't know how they get my number, but it's obviously everywhere. But my email ID is pawan@hoifoods.com. So I'm very, very accessible. So
That's Pawan,
it's easy.
Pawan @HOI foods.com. Pawan, before we move to rapid fire, I have one last question. Where did the name Hoi come from? What did the name Hoi come from? What does it mean?
Okay, so this is from Roy. I have nothing to do with this. He wanted a three-letter word because Oyo and Ola are doing very well, still doing well, I guess.
I remember the story,
And
but I wanted the audience to know.
so Hoi actually means hello in Dutch, uh, and it sounds like it sounds like hi and Hoi. But we also found out later that in Vietnamese it means celebration. So
which is
which
a
is what
which
we
is a
are
good better
building,
one.
right? So
Yeah, perfect.
yeah, but the genesis of that was three letters.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Pawan. I think we've got. I'll take one audience question because there's a lot of stuff that has come in, but I'll take one. I think there was one from Bhakti Joglekar, and I think what is your advice to entrepreneurs in today's world based on your experience? Any predictions on the direction of the food and beverage industry?
Based on the if the question specifically is about where the food and beverage industry is going, I think it is going in multi directions. Today, it is very tough to say that people are going for a certain cuisine or not, there is a huge trend around health and nutrition, which I think everybody is talking about. I believe that what will continue to win is taste. So instead of focusing on, let's say, being only a vegan or a healthy or nutritional food and beverage product, I think the focus should be on creating a larger value for the customer so that you can come closer to the customer in different ways. So there is all kinds of population in the country. People are having different kind of demands. They're moving away from homes. They're staying at home. People are staying with families or not. I think there are loads of different needs. Once again, figure out what the new need is, which you can fulfill and do that. Definitely, the trend is around healthy today. Everything do around health. So yeah, if you're good at it, if you have passion for that, go for that.
Fantastic. That's great advice. And Bhakti, hopefully, that will help you as you build out your venture. Unfortunately, won't be able to take any more questions. I know there's a bunch of people just messaging right now, but because I have to move to rapid fire, we're already over time at this point. So I'm going to go ahead. Pawan, thank you so much for sharing. I think um, this 1 hour we've learned so much, so many journeys, and and really wishing you the best for
Thank you.
Hoi. But before we let you go, there is a rapid fire, and I do have a 20% coupon, so I can send you at the end of this a coffee basket full of Hoi Pure. So the rules are very simple. The rules are very simple. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Whatever first comes to mind, just go ahead and answer, and we'll go from there. I've got about 10, 12 questions over here. Are you ready? Can we go?
Wow. Yes, go for it.
Okay. The first question: Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Donald Trump are coming for dinner. What's the plan?
I'll make really spicy food.
who who do
I
you
think
think
it'll
would not?
spice up the evening really well.
I think Donald Trump is the only one that would have trouble eating it all. I can promise you that one.
I'm fine with it. I'm absolutely fine with it.
Great. Question number 2, Peter Thiel. One thing that you know to be true, but very few people agree with you on this.
I think sleep is overrated.
Good one. I wish I could explain that to my mother, right? The sleep is overrated. When do you get your best work done? Morning or night?
Actually, I'm not at all a night person. So this is almost like my dozing off time. But throughout the day, I'm absolutely fine. So it's not a problem. Night doesn't work for me at all.
Who is your favorite superhero?
Batman, I
And you
think.
can't. Batman. Why Batman?
I think Batman is very intense. I'm actually very impressed with this Batman trilogy, which was made by Kristen
Nolan.
Nolan, and Christian Bale was the Batman, right?
Mhm.
So very intense. Very he was very vulnerable as well as very strong. Very human, I think. So I like that whole part about thing, and also I really like Joker. So
Oh, that was a great role. That
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
was.
So Dark Knight was just an awesome movie. So I think Batman is probably, yeah.
Do,
Wolverine
do
might
you
just come in as well somewhere there.
Wolverine? I guess Ben Affleck as Batman has probably not been anyone's favorite.
No, 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 no. I'm not talking about Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's the Batman trilogy, which Christian
No,
Bale
I
was
know, I know
the.
you're talking about them. I'm just saying that I mean Ben Affleck. I don't think cut it as Batman. I
No,
love him as an
not
actor, but I don't know,
absolutely.
somehow he did not come out. Um, who's your sorry? Do you have any favorite failure that you a
Favorite
favorite
failure?
failure? Yeah.
Favorite failure, actually, when I was in IIT, we went for an inter-IIT. I was the captain of the swimming team, swimming
Okay.
and water polo team, and we lost. Um, I think in the finals, we lost in the finals of water polo match to IIT Bombay,
Wow.
uh, and it was not a good scene after that. Yeah, that was probably my first big taste of failure, because I was a leader, right? So yeah, that was, I don't know, worst or good, but yeah, that was my first big one.
First, if you could pick the brain of one person, any one person, for 24 hours, ask them anything you want, who would it be?
I'll have to choose somebody from the sports. Probably Dhoni. This he has actually intrigued me all the time, because I mean, he's known as Captain Cool all of the time. He's got this quote which he came out with once, which is that, winning is important, losing is not that important. I think
Hmm.
that one statement says a lot. That you should be able to accept failures.
Hmm.
If you want to win something, you will fail, right? So if you want to do something new, you will fail. So don't get bogged down with that. Uh, Focus on the winning. If you lose, doesn't matter. Move on. So I
Move
love
on.
that. So I would like to learn much more about that whole thing from him.
Yep. And why he didn't dive in the semifinal, right? I mean, 1 inch. That's a,
There are many
um,
other questions.
yeah, I know. But please, if you do meet him, that's a question to ask. Dhoni, one dive. That's all we needed. Okay, I've got a few more questions. One piece of advice to founders about fundraising.
Um, it can take long. Don't give up. I guess there are lots of stories about people found a term sheet within a week, but those are fancy stories. Those are not realities. It takes time. It takes time. It's not just about finding money. It's also about finding the right investor for you. So uh, don't give up. Just go on. You will find one. I can help you find one if you need my help. I'm always happy to help.
Pawan at hoifoods.com. Um,
Yes.
I'm going to ask you two more questions. I think, or rather three. I've got three more, and that's we'll let you. I know it's you are a morning person. So one thing you would like to change about the Indian startup ecosystem.
Um, One thing. So I think we've spoken about this already. I think a few times about the failures, about I think well, actually, a lot of good stuff has already happened in the last couple of decades, right? Last decade has been phenomenal in terms of amount of capital being available, etc. But I think uh, people, if the entrepreneur should be given some kind of a free hand to innovate and allowed to fail. I think there is something still lacking there, and hence
Hmm.
we get a lot of copycat ideas in India rather than something completely out of this world. A lot of times I have met investors who basically say, "Oh, but nobody has done this in US before." So I mean, that doesn't really. So what?
I'm surprised.
Yeah, it happens, right?
Surprised.
So sadly, so that, I think that should change. That should be changed.
No, I agree. I think that time of that this hasn't happened in the US. I think that that's definitely gone, because I think now the world is saying that this has happened in India, right? So
Yeah,
so I'm still surprised there's people like that. But great point to bring up, that go out there, innovate, and don't be afraid to fail, right?
yeah,
You'll figure something out.
yeah.
One piece of advice you would give to your 18-year-old self, if there was a way for you to bend and see yourself at 18.
Uh, Go out and play.
Go out and play. Coming from an IIM grad, that's a good one.
I would
Okay.
probably learn a musical instrument.
Wha- Okay, because of the family, I would imagine, right? Wife and kids. The best, rather, you know what? Let's see. I'm gonna take one last question, right? So I'll take three books you would recommend to founders. I'll take the easy one.
Okay, so wow. So I actually books. Um, from the perspective of business, I think one of the best book I've one of the best books I've read is The Goal by Dr. Goldratt. It's a fabulous operations book. Uh, and I think I would also recommend Pour Your Heart Into It by Howard Schultz.
Okay.
Um, I read a lot about history and science and philosophy and stuff. So, books like Inner Game of Tennis is just awesome. That's another one. So at a time, I'm reading few books. I read very slowly, but I read many books at a time. So I must also recommend this book, which has been written by my close friend and my earlier co-founder in Active Karma, Nitin Seth. He just launched it. It's called Winning in the Digital Age. It's a fabulous book, which is written about it's not just about entrepreneurs, it's about anybody today, and how do they take care of their business and their work, and how do they cope in this new digital era, which is very uncertain. It's
Yep.
it's a fabulous book. Yeah.
So you said goals was the first one, right?
Goal. Pour your heart into it.
Pour your heart into it.
Inner game of tennis, and winning in the digital age. I
There
gave
we go.
four. Sorry.
There we go. No, it's perfect. The inner game of tennis. Okay, great. Well, since you gave me four, I'll give you one last question. What is
Oh
one
God.
thing we never leave the house without? One thing you never leave the house without.
My phone.
Your phone. I would imagine.
Everywhere I go, my phone goes with me. Cycling, running, office, driving.
Really fantastic. Well, it has been a pleasure, Pawan, speaking to you. I know we've been in connect on and off over the past few years. I've been busy building this fund, and you've been busy building Hoi. But it truly is a honor to have you in the network. And next time I'm in Delhi, would definitely want to get together and have another beer and learn a little bit
Absolutely.
more about the stuff you've done. Thank you so much. Any final words for the people listening in?
No, I think it's time for all of us to go to bed, or at least for me to go to bed now.
For you to go
So
to bed,
I wish
yeah.
you all a good night. And as I said, I'm pretty accessible. If you need any kind of help in business, just send me a mail. And of course, go on to hoipure.com and order.
There we go. And you've got a
Great stuff out
20% off
there.
coupon. I'm going to put it on your screen once again. Once you go at the checkout screen, put in the code "Show Me the Money" and you'll get 20% off your order. And you can thank Pawan for that. Thank you so much, Pawan. Have a great night. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you again next week with episode 34.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye bye.